I'm Lindsay Maloney, and this is the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I built a 6-figure coaching business while raising my 3 babies and working a 9-to-5, and I'm here to help you break free from the hustle mentality that's been holding you back from reaching your full potential so you can know your worth, step into your own power, and of course, book your dream clients. Welcome back to another episode of the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. Today we're with Kristen of Val and Bass, and she helps solopreneurs grow with better balance. With virtual outsourcing, assistance, and productivity coaching, Kristen believes that with her help, you'll be able to do you but better. You're going to love this episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Kristen, thank you so much for being on the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I'm so excited you're with us today.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here today.
We've already had such a great conversation, and I think this is going to be such a fun episode. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone about what you do and who you serve?
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. I am Kristen, and I am the owner of Val and Bass. I am a virtual assistant and productivity coach for creative small businesses looking for a healthier work-life balance. So I serve a lot of creative small businesses, a lot of solopreneurs, product and service-based, sometimes coaches, anyone who is creative, who is basically virtual, and is trying to build their way up and are going through growing pains. That is where I step in. I use a lot of productivity to figure out, foundational issues, get everyone organized, go through processes, create processes, and identify pain points for me to essentially create processes for and then take over as a virtual assistant. So I'm a huge believer in productivity as well as assisting, and together I really feel that it addresses a lot of a solopreneur or entrepreneur's needs when they're first starting out within the first 5 years. So that is essentially what I do in a small soundbite.
I love it. How did you get started with this? Because I love to hear people's stories and how they evolve. So would you mind sharing that with us?
Oh, yes, definitely. Well, first off, I just need to preface that I'm a Virgo and I'm also very type A. And I'm an introvert, so just keeping that in mind. I pretty much planned out my life the minute I started watching Gilmore Girls all the time. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be like Rory Gilmore. I wanted to go to Yale. Just kidding. That was really high far up there. Did not. So I've always been really overachieving since high school. I was editor of my newspaper. I then went to college at Loyola University, New Orleans, go Wolfpack. And I was on the advertising team, and we got a really, really amazing education in communications and marketing. And then straight out of college, I worked with a couple of small businesses in different industries. But I was always a marketing coordinator of some kind, because when you have a general teaching in communications, a lot of people throw a lot of things at you because they're like, you can do everything. And it's like, you're right, I can. But so I learned very quickly to adapt to anything that was given to me. And my whole goal was to eventually become CMO of a marketing agency. BBDO or something like that. Really big dreams. Very general, not very specific. Although that is pretty specific, but I could get more specific if we needed to. But after being at the last marketing agency before essentially having my epiphany, I noticed that my mental health wasn't the best. I got a lot of anxiety and panic attacks from the need to overperform, put in extra hours, do the most work instead of the minimum, or, being more productive in the day and then leaving earlier. Like, I just had a huge mental block and lots of anxiety attacks. So it became a huge issue. Like 40-hour work weeks were now 60-hour work weeks. And I know that's normal in society now, but it didn't sit well with me, especially working as an account executive at the time. it was just too much. I was just always, like, am I doing the best that I can? Can I do more? And kind of just running myself into the ground when no one asks me to.
Yeah.
That's like the typical perfectionist syndrome. It's just like, I need to do everything. I need to do it all. And I need to have a social life. I need to do everything. And that just ended up being really bad to where I was just getting myself sick from anxiety all the time. So after sitting down with my wonderful, amazing CEO, her name is Cheryl Parrish. She's absolutely amazing. I sat down with her and she's like, "Are you sure that you're supposed to be with an agency?" She's like, I don't mean any disrespect, but maybe, you'd really excel, being on your own. And she sort of planted the seed there. I was like, maybe she's right. And then I had a wonderful conversation with my father, and he was like, "I'm surprised that it took you this long to realize that you need to start your own business and do what you want to do and have a passion for." I'm like, "What?"
Wow, what a good dad.
Yeah, I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I always expected you to have your own business." He's like, not that you have a problem working under someone." He's like, "But you are more of a leader. Like, you need to be the top dog and you know how to delegate to a team." He's like, "You just need to become it." He's like, "You need to realize it." And so with both Cheryl and my father's advice, I just, at first it was all about event planning. And then I realized that I missed marketing and missed organizing and all the processes that go along with a small business and startups that are less than 5 years old. Like, I miss putting in the foundational work and assisting with whatever anyone needed, being a project manager, traffic manager, all that kind of stuff. So Val and Bass was born essentially when I left the last marketing agency. I did some event planning and then I was like, nope, I think I found what I want to do. And it's always been small business owners. It's never been anyone that, has been established for 10 plus years. It's always been, starting from the ground floor and building up solopreneurs and creative small businesses. And what has made me so successful, honestly, is my location. I'm not gonna lie. Tampa is, I believe, #1 for women's small businesses. So it's absolutely
interesting.
amazing to be here. Yeah. So I've been very lucky to be able to help a lot of small businesses here just because of the nature of the city. So that's essentially how it started. It was all about mental health, and that's why my mission is to create a better work-life balance, a healthier one, not a perfect one, because there's no such thing as perfect balance, but to create a healthier one for small business owners, because I know firsthand what that's like. So I want to be able to help as many people as possible so they have room to grow without burning themselves out.
I love it. I love that you took a struggle in your life and you made it into something amazing, which probably makes you an incredible business owner because you know each side is like. You know the negative and the positive. So you know how to create the balance, and that's so important in anything in life. We don't know the good if we don't know the bad. So I love that you started this because you wanted to help like the ground floor up entrepreneurs who are building their business and who are realizing that, okay, I can work on my business all day long and all weekend long, but do I really need to? And they're feeling really overwhelmed. So what's the typical person, the typical client that you have? What are they struggling with when they come to you?
Oh, probably everything, to be honest. I find that a lot of people, they recognize that they need help, but they don't know how they need help, if that makes sense. A lot of
Yes.
creatives have not a problem with focusing by any means, because they can focus and knock out something insanely beautiful in an hour. It's more so like the admin and all of that stuff. And so it's almost like making other things a priority besides their craft. And when someone usually comes to me, like, usually, it's social media, it's marketing, it's blogs, it's emails, the things that are the first to go out the door and on a back burner when your business starts picking up. So I offer that, of course. So a lot of people come to me for that, and I'm like, okay, but why? But why? And everyone's like, wait, what do you mean why? I'm like, why did it become, something that you neglected? Like, let's figure out the root of
Mhm.
the issue instead of just giving me things and I do them for you. Like, I want to help you create better habits. So if you are on your own again, like if you hit, a red financially, you have the tools and the resources yourself and the habits already there because I taught them to you and you know how to do
Mhm.
it yourself now. So um, that's what I usually go through first. And that's when people, really get down. I'm like, okay, let's figure out your pain points. Yes, it could be marketing, but what's going on operationally? Tell me about your processes. Do you have any processes? Also, who
Mhm.
else is on your team? Like, what's your day to day like? How do you schedule all of your work? How many clients do you have? So I get down to the nitty gritty details of absolutely everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's how I usually am able to determine what tier and level they are because I have specific tiers for wherever a business is currently at and whatever their
Mhm.
growing pain is, if that makes sense.
It
And I
makes
did.
total sense. And I'm looking at your website right now and I can see that you are really tapped into what like a like me, you're reading you're speaking my language here because this is so interesting because I understood exactly what you meant when you said, well, people will reach out to you for help and then you ask why and well, I don't know. Why do I need help? Is it because everyone says that you need to have like an OBM or and somebody to help you in your business, a team? Or do you even really know why? And I love that you said we got to find out why. I'm
Mhm.
all about that. Why why are you feeling this way when you sit down on your computer? Why do you keep pushing this task off? I love that you dig into it and you're not just a check the box kind of person.
Yeah.
Can you explain like why? Can you explain why you are why you do that a little bit more into deeper? Why? I'm too.
The why to your why.
Yes.
I think the reason I do that is because I find that if you are just delegating to a virtual assistant and just delegating all these things, then you still burn yourself out because then you just keep repeating the same habits that you had in the first place. So you're burnt out, create a small business, you got to grow, you got a VA, you throw everything at them, but then you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this time, let me load it up again. And then
Mm-hmm.
you become more burnt out. And then, yes, you can always delegate more to your VA or hire a part time employee. But if you're burning yourself out, that's not good for your business because the whole reason you got into your own business in the first place is because you have a passion for it. And
Mm-hmm.
we all know at the end of the day, if you're burnt out on your passion, then what do you have at that point? So
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to take care of your mental health and learn to ask why and fix the habits in the first place before you just start, throwing tasks at a person and just burning yourself out again because you have more time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always ask why, because it's usually, yes, you need help, but also, do you know how to create habits to protect yourself from yourself, essentially, which is hilarious and ironic. But, it's like
Yeah.
you really need to protect yourself and your mental to protect your passion and not burn yourself out the minute you have more time. Like, yes, take this time, but also be productive about it. Don't just burn yourself out. Be productive about how you use your time, this newly
Mm-hmm.
found time to grow and really take your business to the next step. So
I
that's
love that.
that's why. The why.
I love that, and then so I can relate to that so well as a business owner and as a mom. So like if I want the kids to do something to help me with something, and granted they're 2, 5, and 10, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of return here. But if I say, okay, let's go outside and clean this up or something, and then that I'm going to call it a control freak. The control freak pipes in and says, well, just let me do it. I'll do it and then it'll be done faster. I know how it starts and ends. Just let me do it. And I think that's what so many business owners feel is, yeah, it would be great to have all of these things hand it off, but I'll just keep doing it. Like for me, I say, if I made it this far doing it myself, I'll just keep doing it myself. And that doesn't serve you.
No, it doesn't. It puts you almost at a wall at some point because then if you have a virtual assistant, but you insist on doing everything yourself still and you're having a problem delegating, like your virtual assistant, who is basically a member of your team, just a contractor,
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel as helpful, and that's
Mm-hmm.
hard. Like you never want to feel like you're not good at assisting your not employer, but your boss essentially, or your teammate, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's really important to delegate. And even though it's a struggle, it's so hard, especially for us
Mm-hmm.
type A's, the control freaks. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely get that. But once you take the time to teach your team and it clicks for them and they just run with it and they do things that they create shortcuts, they
Mm-hmm.
do all sorts of things that you would have never done on your own because you didn't have the time, and it's a different perspective on what you're doing as well. So for instance, I have a wonderful, wonderful intern. Her name's Alice, and she's amazing. She finally took over social, and the things that she has created absolutely astound me. But if I kept control of everything, we would have never gotten there. Like I never would be sitting back shocked, being like completely hands off. And I'm like, we're good. You keep
Oh,
doing it. I
yeah.
don't even need to improve anything anymore. Like it's beautiful. I love it. I'm so excited for everyone else to see this.
Well, I love that you came from that perspective because it's like, and again, it relates to parenting. If you don't let them do something that they're really good at, let them shine, then you're holding them back. So it's like you're bringing up the whole entire collective of, if you hire women or men or whatever, you're bringing it all up because you're letting people do what they love and do what they're really good at. So that makes them happy. It makes you happy and your audience happy because there's so much positivity surrounding everything if we want to look at it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
And when you hand stuff off, or when people start handing stuff off to you, what do you see with your clients? What are the things that they're doing now that they haven't been able to do?
Ooh, this is fun. Every one of my clients is very different. My forever client, though, she's also a mompreneur,
Mm-hmm.
and she's noticed that she's been able to no stress spend time with her family and also grow the wholesale part of her business. So
Mm,
she creates beautiful designs that are very wanderlusty, travel based. And she was mostly Etsy and focusing on just purely to consumer. And now that she's delegated, blogs, social, emails, automations, like literally anything under the sun to
mm-hmm.
me. And I have fun doing it, and we've established processes for it, and we schedule things out in a healthy, timely manner that she's, been able to read. She's been able to sit outside with like a cocktail by her pool and be able
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy time with her son and be able to take more vacations without feeling as stressed out because she knows that she has a sidekick here willing
Mm-hmm.
to obviously step in if something goes haywire.
Right.
But she also knows that things are still happening even though she's, enjoying her time. So that's one of the biggest things, is that they're able to spend more time with their family. And that's really important to
Mm-hmm.
me because
Mm-hmm.
I obviously, all millennials, huge advocates of self-care,
Mm-hmm.
protecting your mind, throwing a facial on, grabbing a glass of wine, watching an episode of The Bachelor, like simple
Mm-hmm.
little things,
Mm-hmm.
even though Bachelor season has been interesting. But
Well, I don't know anything about The Bachelor, but I do know how much better I feel when I do something that I enjoy. A couple of years ago, I was working evenings on my business, and it was a full day, and it wasn't serving me. And then a couple years ago, I decided, well, I'm not working evenings because I would kind of get ticked if my boss told me you need to work evenings too. So I became a better boss to myself and just doing little things. Like sometimes it would be intimidating for me to hear people say, well, go for a spa day and go do this and go do that. And I would think, I have a baby at home and a toddler, and I can't just jump off and go do all that. So I decided to make self care my own thing, like watching something that I enjoy. Like you said, read a book or just go to bed, doing little things like that. They fill my cup so much better because I don't know, as a mom, coming home after a day of being away sometimes is more stressful than leaving. So I just made it my own. And like, for example, last night we started a new tradition with my mom and my grandma where we're getting together on like a Friday night and we're watching a show. And it's like a couple hours, no kids, and just no nothing. We were watching Call of the Midwife. It's my favorite show ever. Eating vegetables and dip and just enjoying ourselves. And it just made me feel so much fuller by just going across town and enjoying myself for a couple hours and coming home. So it's like you don't need to do all these big things. Just tap into what makes you light up and it will work. Does that make sense?
No, definitely. And I 100% agree. It's all about filling your cup with the things that matter. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a good, productive day at work and you're able to delegate a lot to someone else and trust them, and you're able to do small little things at home and you're able to do them without, the time crunch of like 6 to 9 before you pass
Mm-hmm.
out, like the
Mm-hmm.
luxury to do that throughout the day, things like that, because a lot of my clients work at home as well. So it's really empowering to them that they have someone that they can trust, and for them to be able to really maximize their time to focus really well on the top things that they got to do for the day, and then they can take some time off because
Mm-hmm.
they've got a lot done, and they can go and spend time. They can go to Disneyland. They can do whatever
Mm-hmm.
they thought that they couldn't do beforehand because they would feel bad for taking time off
Mm-hmm.
or shutting off for the day, or they would just become burnt out, and then they'd have to be forced to rest instead of all.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. Being forced, and you don't want that. And I think a big mindset shift is knowing that your business will run when you are out of your office. Like you don't have to push the wheel, and having people that you trust to make it turn, and you don't have to babysit them. And you're just like, they got this. They're doing their thing. I'm gonna go do mine. Everyone's in like their perfect space. Nobody's spread too thin. And it's a beautiful process. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, it's such a direct thing to experience the minute you start delegating, and the more you have time and you know how to spend that time instead of obviously piling more tasks and burning yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a drastic difference, and all it takes is a couple of months for me to hit my stride and really help people find solutions, and for me to help them reach their goals. It's 3 months usually,
Mm-hmm.
just to get, because it for me it's all about finding the perfect fit. I am
Yeah.
very specific about my, like, who I want to take on and clients, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I say no, maybe when I shouldn't, because money is a thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm very specific because I want, because it's a relatable thing that I'm helping you do, in a sense, because I've been there, as we were talking about before. Like I know what the struggles are like, I know what the growth is like, um, and I want it to be very highly compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
almost,
it's like you're sitting right next to the business owner, and if nothing is more personal to me than my business because I created it, every ounce of it. So it's a very personal relationship, and so I and you have to be very specific with who you work with. And I think that's really important for anybody who has an online business is just don't do things because you think you need to do them. You have to really feel into it and know that it'll come to you when it's supposed to.
yeah, and that's almost like the conversation that we were having earlier is, you know, talking the talk and also walking the walk. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when people see that you have your own boundaries and you know who you want to work with, you know how long it takes for you to really see results with everyone, it's an eye opener for people. They're like, oh, so you don't work on weekends? I'm like, only if I have to, if I feel like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
work this week or I felt like I needed to rest more, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you do have to work weekends, that's fine. But I don't do client communication on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure everyone gets what they need a couple days beforehand if I go on vacation. Um, yes, it's a very
And you're
trust.
only able to do this so well because you've been on the other side and you've seen it all and you made it happen for you and now you make it happen for everybody else. I love it. This was such a good conversation, Kristen. Thank you so much for sharing everything. How can people find you and learn about what you do further?
Sure. Definitely follow me on social at Vow and Vast, and that's VOWANDVAST. For Facebook and Insta, I am very active on Instagram. I'm also doing a productivity challenge that is free for everyone at the end of March. So if anyone's interested in getting all productivity in their lives and learning some tips and tricks to better, optimize their time and balance, definitely
Mm-hmm.
check it out. And also my website, bowandbast.com. Check me out if you're an overwhelmed, burnt outpreneur. I always do free discovery calls, so let's just sit down and have a chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Of course, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. I am so grateful for you, and I want to be sure you are a part of my free community. Go to dreamclientcommunity.com and join our free Facebook group. We have all kinds of cool things happening every single day, so don't miss out. Also, if you love downloading freebies, check out my freebie vault on my website by going to lindsaymaloney.com, selecting freebie vault, and there you can download all the things that will help you start and scale your coaching business. And if you're feeling extra generous, be sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode.